How's everybody doing? So I want to talk to you about this builder's plan for the C-SPAN Carrier Princess. This was originally a Canadian Pacific boat. For those of you that aren't familiar, this ferry was built in 1973 and it's used for transport, for rail and wheeled vehicles. So you'll see a lot of trailers like in this picture, and then in other photos that I have, all from Google Images, by the way, mostly. You see the rail traffic here. And so one of the things that you want to consider when you're building plans from a photograph is you've got to try to understand ratios. Like, I'll give you an example. So I'm not building the full length of this boat, but I know how long this boat is. So I can use a 187 ruler or a software that's free on the internet, a scale converter. And if this boat is like, let's say it's 800 feet long, like I'm just going to throw rough numbers out because I don't want to get technical, like too technical at this stage. Okay, I just want to sort of maintain, like get into the build and just carry through with it, because you're going to learn how to do this as you see me building it. So you convert the length of the boat you get from the data when you do the research, and you convert it to 187 scale. You get the length. Sometimes they give you the height to the bridge. They'll give you the draft, the depth, you know, below the water line, and they'll give you the width. So I already know that. Now, I'll just say from the outset, this boat scales out in HO scale, or 187. I prefer to say 187 scale because it is going to be built scale. So I'm only building this much of the ferry. So this is almost 30 inches long right here. So the whole boat is over 4 feet long. I don't have space for it. So I'll just tell you right now, I don't have space for it, and it was never in the design anyway. It was never, I had a plan for the whole layout and everything. There's things I've planned on this layout that I haven't even shared yet. But this is the part that I'm building, and this is almost 30 inches long. I think it's like 29 and 5/8 long. So it's quite a large and imposing model. So I want to be able to build this so that it's authentic. So it has an authentic, so that when you look at it, you know it's the Carrier Princess. So I'm going to show you a couple of tips that I use to scale from photographs, which is much easier to do when you do a rectangle and a building, because you know how high a door is. Like, you know, when you do a building like a warehouse, you can take a picture. Like, you want to try to get a photo like square on so that you can get height and width and length and so on. But when you do a building, you know that doors are approximately 36 inches wide by 7 feet high. That's a good enough ratio. So if this is 7 feet high, like just say this window's 7 feet. Well, I know that by putting a ruler on it, on this physical photo, which is about 2 inches, I know that every 2 inches I move up the boat is 7 feet. So 7, 14, 21. So I can get a pretty rough, fairly accurate assessment of how high this particular superstructure is from the deck height up to the bridge here, within a few feet. I've checked some of my drawings on occasion in the past, so I have a 90% accuracy ratio. That's when you don't have drawings. And even when you have drawings, it's not going to be a perfectly accurate model, but it'll be better. But I couldn't get drawings for this. So this was an original CP boat built in 1973. So all of these photos you see here are around 20, well, when C-SPAN acquired it, or when C-SPAN changed ownership and Washington Corp acquired them. I can't remember the year, but this is around 2011 or so. So let me just point out a couple of things. So this face, or the bow plate, call it, like the front of the superstructure with these windows, not this bridge. I mean, I've drawn it here, but not on the front here. So I'm drawing a template for the front of this, which is right here. Like, I'll show you with the ruler. No, I won't show you with the ruler. So it runs on an angle like that. Okay, and the only way I can establish that angle is, once again, through the study of photographs and video, if you can get video, which I do have. And the reason why I draw it on brown paper, white paper would show better, but it would also wash out the camera and it would be messy because you have to draw lines over and over again. Look at here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 lines working in this angle on the sides, which I will make a decision when I cut the pieces, right? So you're always adjusting until everything feels just right and looks right. That's the thing about nautical subjects. I have the utmost respect for nautical architects. They are so gifted people. They usually have a history in naval architecture or naval studies. So they think of every single line, no matter what the boat is. So I want to keep that in mind because I want to do justice to whoever the naval architect was on this. So it won't be perfect, but it'll be a very authentic replica or model, HO scale model of the Carrier Princess of around 2011 period or so, or a decade, give or take. Because this boat was originally CP in 73 and now it's 2023 and it's out of service, or 2024, sorry. Okay, so basically I know now roughly what the height is here of this front plate, and I know basically the width of the boat. I'll just use boat and ship synonymously. Sorry if I offend people. It's not really a boat, it's a ship. Parentheses ferry. So you see the height of the header here? This is where all the cars and trailers go. So how high is this? That's the problem. I do not know how high that header is from the deck. So here's another clue. You can use a car, a box car, or in this case, a hopper, and you can see this header here, right here. There's only maybe 4 feet there. Okay, and then you can see the space on the side on the outside track. There's 4 tracks on here. There's a turnout on the bow, and then which is 2 tracks down the center, and then 2 flanking each, like on each side. So there's 4 tracks. But I got a pretty good idea about the kind of space when I draft up this opening. Now, I can move around with this drawing. Like I can be either proud or a bit conservative, because when I actually get down to cutting the parts out and doing dry runs on the actual deck that I've already built, like the wood hull part, I'll be able to do refinements there as well, okay? So that's how I do it. And you can see here, like, for example, these windows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and notice how they're offset. And there's a door here with stairs coming down. So you can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and they're offset. So that's all ratio. I get a rough idea what the size of these windows are according to the photograph, right? So you can get you really can surprise yourself how accurate of a drawing, a builder's drawing you can get if you don't have access to blueprints or the actual architectural drawings. And then you make adjustments along the way, and hopefully you get a good, authentic looking model. Now, one more thing before we move on to the build. This front plate looks a little bit higher than what you might see in this photograph. But the photograph, I don't know what type of lens was used or the exact angle of this photograph, right? Whether it was a telephoto lens, whether it was 50 millimeter, 24 millimeter, I mean, I don't know that. So you're going to see some distortion there. And this plate is drawn totally standing up vertical, when in fact it's on an angle, right? So you're viewing this front of the superstructure on an angle pushed back. So all these angles are going to change. This is going to look lower. The windows will look narrower, etc. Here it looks a little bit taller because it's standing upright. But when this leans back, it will line up with the top of this part right here above this nav light pocket right here, because I haven't drawn the bridge here. Okay, so those are some of the tools you can use to establish ratio, and including a trailer. So I know that trailers also get parked on this boat, so you can see the clearance of the header there, and then this is the line of the deck. Okay, so these are some of the tools. And just in closing, one more. Since there are no doors in this photo, what would I use here? I know roughly that these higher up railings are approximately 42 inches, okay? Safety railings vary from, I think, 36 to 40, 6 or whatever, but I know roughly that they're about 42 inches. So I can basically gauge off of that, and I know that, okay, if that's 42 inches, I can roughly guess that possibly this opening is a little bit less than that. It's not exactly 42 inches. It might be just 3 feet here. Okay, so that's what you do. And when you start drawing and erasing, you start adjusting ratios until it feels right, and you're good to go. Okay.